The floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. President. Good afternoon, colleagues across the world. This is Fortune Aban from News Agency of Nigeria. My question is in line with the last speech, and I really want to find out because the issue of annexation is almost triggering cold wars that no one can really define its end. Talking about the speech, you said she made mention of annexation. Is it that the referendum is basically to avoid the tendencies of southern Cameroon being annexed, or your call is basically to fight for the sovereignty of that region, of that entity, and also to work in line with the laws? Because if you check by history, for me to call Israel in terms of its wars and its crisis today is based on issue of annexation. Russia, Ukraine today is still based on annexation. China, Taiwan is still based on annexation. Trying to avoid it and the Supremos trying to prove a point that it is by law its own. So can we just get this straight on point that your call is basically on the issue of annexation rather than what is anticipated in terms of the referendum you're calling a shot? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Aban. Our problem is rightly a problem of annexation. We were granted the right to join with the Republic of Cameroon in a new structure, a new state structure, which will be the Federal Republic of the Cameroons. That is so described in the text of the United Nations. Then the joining did not take place, legally speaking. So what happened was, what has happened for these 61 years past, or 62, has been a de facto union, because the United Nations, by resolution 1608 of the General Assembly, prescribed what was needed, the legal ingredients that was necessary for that union to become a de jure union according to the text and the charter of the United Nations. That was not done. Instead, our other equal party that we chose to join decided to overrun the southern Cameroon, send gendarmes and their soldiers annexed us, and the rest has been annexation. The rest has been assimilation. They have used force, they have used propaganda, they have used corruption in the international circle with the backing of the French to keep us in that state of a slave. So that is annexation, purely, because what we have today in the Cameroon does not reflect what the United Nations intended or prescribed. So we are there against our will. So we have restored, we have simply reaffirmed our separate existence as a country. And we are expecting that the United Nations, whose #1 objective is to prevent conflict than to go, because they don't have the means to go about resolving conflict. The #1 objective should be to prevent. But unfortunately, as it has been, they are always coming at the end when millions of lives have been wasted. So we believe that annexation is a crime, just like colonialism, just like slavery, just like apartheid. They are crimes against humanity. So you don't resolve this by trying to give it some legal coloration. Simple. The United Nations should stand up to their own status and implement their own resolutions and review them when there is conflict, when it goes bad like this, because they were the origin of this experiment. So we are calling on them to just simply interpret their own laws. And those who voted yes for this experimental union, call it experimental because that's what it is. It only becomes a reality when it is confirmed. It becomes legal. It becomes official in record in the United Nations. It is not. So looking at our problem as one of annexation would rightly position us and make it clear why we cannot expect a referendum to be the solution. We have to put our case alongside other cases, like you mentioned Israel, you mentioned Ukraine. The world will not accept. Up to now, they are rejecting the referenda that are being organized by Russia in Donbass and other areas of Ukraine. They say because that cannot be. Then how can anyone contemplate? I cannot even say the international community is proposing a referendum to us because they have not. Or have they? They have not. I don't know any one international stakeholder who has come out and said, we propose that this issue be resolved by a referendum. There are just some Southern Cameroon stakeholders who are proposing to themselves a referendum. Simple. They are thinking aloud, probably, or trying to strategize in a strategy that I call one of capitulation or surrender. Because you cannot be talking of referendum as a means of acceding to independence if you had been independent before. Unless you have not been independent. If you have been independent before, you cannot ask for a referendum to determine if you were independent or not. So that's why it is all wrong. And I'm only waiting for any time the international community will officially present to us that as a proposal, then we shall respond. Or Cameroon will dare propose that to us, then we will respond. People, those are things that are only said when people meet on the table and some proposals come to the table. Then we discuss them. It's unfortunate that some amongst us decided to even make this an issue of discussion at this time. La Republic were the first who actually seceded because they are the ones who refused to sign a treaty of union with us. They are the ones who reverted to their former name after they considered the experiment as failed. Because their process was one of assimilation, not a union of two states of equal status. When they reverted to their former name, they literally withdrew from the de facto union or experiment. So we have simply reaffirmed what the reality is. Then somebody will come and propose a referendum to us. Who is proposing a referendum to La Republic?
Thank you, Mr. President. Moyo Thomas, the floor is yours. You can unmute yourself. Fortune, I've sent the document again to you. Just check the platform. Moyo, please, you can unmute and ask your question. Okay, we're going to take Fortune Abang. Fortune Abang, do you want to ask a question?
To follow up. So yes, ask.
He just asked the question now, Paddy.
Okay, then I'll take Joe. Joe, please kindly unmute and ask your question.
Sorry, President, please. I just wanted to ask again. Your thought is well taken, quite taken. But what happens if the UN fails? What are the conditions, or what should the public, the international community know as a ground rule for this?
The UN is failing for 7 years now, because what they were supposed to do was simply to come in immediately, because this is their territory. This is their task. This is their unfinished task. This is what they started that did not go well. So they are failing. But if by any means peace is not found through diplomatic intervention, then the war continues. It means they have voted for continuation of the genocide that is ongoing. And who knows what conflict does when it is not resolved? It will only grow and spiral. Because those who think that they can wish a conflict away are naive. They don't even understand how this works, or they are wicked, because many more lives will go. When the people have decided that, when a woman has decided that enough with this marriage, because I thought you will marry me, and you have refused to sign even a marriage certificate with me for all these years, and I'm good. And the international community is that somebody there is there wishing that somehow the powerful party, the husband, if you can use enough force to keep that woman in the house, it's legal. When you do that, it means you have decreed violence. Because people will always find a way to get their rights and get their freedom, get their desires. This is not people, this is a people issue. The people of the Southern Cameroon. This is not one individual. They will look around, find here and there, and then kill him like that's been done in some cases. This is the people have risen, and they said, no, justice must be done. So if the United Nations or international community and all stakeholders don't do anything, it means they are choosing to allow violence in that part of Africa, in the Southern Cameroon, continue. And to tell you the truth, people will fight. When it comes to freedom, our people are willing to fight, because we discovered that the only way where this issue can be resolved is if we stand up for what belongs to us. If we stand up for what is right. For 7 years we have been doing so, and we intend to do so until reason will prevail.